this is Sarah Wood. I'm the current and first program manager for the state of Kansas, and I work for the Office of the State Fire Marshal, headquartered in Topeka, Kansas. And this is the second video in building a contact database. We just finished doing the table where we copied across an Excel spreadsheet of all of the fire department information. So now what we have is an Excel spreadsheet, basically, inside of Access. So we've got everything here. And again, don't worry, all of this information you're looking at right here is public record. It's actually right on our website, so I'm not giving you any kind of insider information. So now to get to that contact database where you can more easily interact with this information, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a form. And the form is basically the difference between a spreadsheet of data versus a paper of that data, like a paper copy of it. So we're going to actually click on Create and choose Form Wizard. And we only have one table here, but if you have multiple tables, this is where you would drop it down. I'm going to bring everything across, which is this double arrow. I'm going to hit Next. I typically just leave it on the first choice because I change everything anyway. Hit Next, and then you can name your form. For Access, typically tables start with a T and then an underscore, and forms start with an F and an underscore. Just name it something that you're gonna remember. So I'm gonna go Form Master FD. And I want to actually modify the form's design. You'll see why in a minute. And then hit Finish. So this is the design view of the form. And if you click over here to View, there's Form, Layout, and Design View. We're in Design View right now, which means we can actually interact with these things and change them. And then there's Form View, and this is what it looks like in basically normal production. So this is what you would interact with normally. So I'm going to change this back to Design View. I'm going to get rid of that, and just to kind of make it easier, I'm going to spread this out. And I'm going to give it a header here. I'm going to move FDID up here, but it doesn't need to be this so big. Right now I'm just kind of making things pretty. You can highlight multiple fields, and I'm going to do that so that I can make them all a little skinnier. Oops, I went the wrong way. That's better. Okay, so we'll shorten county and region as well. They don't need to be that long. And I'm going to drop them onto this side. And you can change where these anchors are. So like there's like these little black boxes which anchor the title to the actual field itself. So the size of this is the actual size that you'll see displaying the information, and then this is the name of that field. So when you need to know what the field is, you can have it next to you, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. And then I have FDID, FD name. Now I'm going to do something here. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. So I just have FD name here, but I'm going to make this a little bigger because I can have really long FD names. I'm not going to worry about making this too pretty because I can feel your eyes on me going, move to the next thing. It's time to go on. All right, so now we're going to go over here and we're going to hit Design View. So remember I deleted that little tag right here that said Fire Department. So I know that this is the name, and just by the native data it's displaying. So sometimes I delete those handles, and other times I leave them, like FDID I leave, county and region I leave, mailing, physical, all that stuff I leave. It's all up to you and how you want your data. I'm going to take this back to Design View. If you click and drag, it will let you highlight multiple things. My advice with Access, especially if this is like your first time using it, is to just be brave and get in and mess with it, because you can always start over. Keep a copy of a database that you're working with. Don't be afraid to blow it up. Well, not literally, please, but you can move stuff around however pretty you want it to be. I'm just hitting the arrow buttons on my keyboard here. Just trying to condense this because we are making space down below for other things. So now we have a basic basic form, and you can make it prettier, you can play with it. So I can click through. This is where you get through your reports this way. All right, so I'm going to go back to design view. And now I'm going to, let's add a search bar. Okay, now we're going to add something to make your form a little more usable. And we're going to add what's called a combo box. And I'm going to add those at the bottom of this. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And we're going to drop down. I think this is the combo box here. I can never remember. All right, so this is your combo box. Click it, and then it's going to give you this little choice here. And we're going to add one. And what a combo box can do is it can find a record based on what you enter. So it's basically like a search box is what we're entering. So we're going to choose that one, hit next. Let's see, the first one we're going to search by FDID name or FD name. Next, this is the name itself. This is kind of a preview to make sure, is this really the column you want to look for? It's going to ask what do you want to name it. You can name it whatever you want to name it. And then we're going to finish. And then I might change this to find by FD name. And then if we come up here and hit our design view, now we can actually start typing in a fire department. Or if we hit this down button, we can actually literally see them all. There we go. Let's add another one. So we've got that one added in. And we're going to add combo box again. And I have two of these typically. I do an FD name and then I do an FD ID. Next, that's the one I want. Next and finish. And then I move this up here and then I name that find by FDID. This doesn't need to be so long because FDIDs aren't very long. So we'll shorten that up and then we'll come over to look at the actual view. And now we have a list of FDIDs. So we can find it by their name or we can find it by their FDID. I don't like to hit the scroll thing a whole bunch if I know who I'm looking for. So as long as I know. Sometimes, I don't know if this occurs in your state, but I know it does in mine. Fire department will have a local name, but they're actually a fire district for a county and they just never use that name. So they give me like their township name or they give me their local name, and that's not in my list, of course. So I'll ask them which county they're in, and I can, like if they're in Reno County, I know my FDIDs for Reno County always start with RN. So I'll start RN and then I will just toggle through that county until I find it. Like, okay, I'll be like, all right, instead of Turon Fire Department, they really meant Fire District number 7. So that's actually how I find it a little faster that way. So now we've added our table for our fire department information. We've made a form, we've made a search, and the next video will be contacts.